Hey guys, we're here in Bergamo for the 99th edition of the International 6 Days Enduro. It's basically the Olympics of Enduro racing. It's the biggest event of the year. Been fortunate enough this year to get picked for Team GB. And yeah, so I just been asked by a lot of people, you know, what do we do differently? What's the score with the bike? So we're gonna do a little bike check video, run you through what's different or what we do. And hopefully you can maybe learn a thing or two, or yeah, just see how it is and see what we do to the KTM. So we'll start at the rear end of the bike. Tyres wise, I've gone for Michelin medium with a pretty new, I think 2-ride-old 140 Moose, so it's a pretty stiff setup. It's kind of hot here, so it's going to expand anyway, but we want it stiff. We've got RFX rear disc, solid disc, and Brembo rear brake pads, genuine KTM. On the 6 days, only the rider's allowed to touch the bike, so we want parts that are going to last and not cause us any trouble. Moving on, Aquapovic full system. It's a KTM power parts. You can get it from any of your KTM dealers. This is a brand new system for this event. We have noise control and stuff, so it's always good to just have new stuff on the bike. So one more thing that isn't visible, below the seat, which is just a standard normal seat. That's what I like to use. I like to be able to move, don't have a gripper cover or anything. We've got the ECU. It's a standard KTM ECU, but tuned by 4-Stroke Performance. They put their ERM module. It's really easy. You just plug it in, put it to live on the battery, and you can put a map onto your standard ECU. So no need to buy an additional ECU. You can just remap your standard one. I like to write out a little bit of the engine braking if I can. And that's something that I can do with that. So that's another great little addition to the bike. Other things that we've got on the bike for this race, which is slightly different to a normal race. I normally run just an aluminium RFX sprocket, but for this race I've got the twin ring. So it's an aluminium lightweight center with a steel outer. So obviously we shouldn't have to change the sprocket unless we have a problem. Got TM Designs chain guide on, which is pretty much a must-have, especially in the rocks and stuff around here. You don't want to be bending a chain guide, and something as simple as that can definitely cost you a race. So I already mentioned the sprocket that we're using for durability with the steel outer. I think probably my most common Instagram DM is what gear do I run. So for me, on a 350 Exc-F, completely standard bike except for the pipe. I run a 47. It comes standard with a 46, which I just find, you know, it tends to want to lead you into second gear a little bit. I prefer to be up the gearbox, so 47 is just enough for me. I can get away with that. And standard 13 on the front. Footrests, gear lever, everything. I just leave it standard. I really love these standard footrests. A lot of people run like titanium and stuff, but especially on the 6 days, I always find they need continually to be sharpened and whatever, which, yeah, you're not going to have time to do that when you work on the bike yourself. Standard front sprocket size, but I do change the engine mounting bracket. So this again, it's a KTM power part. You can get the hollow bracket. I also take one bolt out, just allows a little bit of flex in the chassis. So yeah, I mean, it's not a huge change, it's not a huge difference, but something I like, and if it works for you, it works for you. So we'll move back around to the other side of the bike. So on this side, I've got a slightly different frame guard. I mean, most of it's aesthetic, but I quite like that this black piece is a little bit more grippy than the standard one. I run a brake reservoir extender, again another KTM power part you can get from wherever. I've been using these RFX clutch covers for a couple of years now. Really durable, not had any issues. So something I always like to do is just stay with what I know. And yeah, they're super durable. As long as I don't crash into anything. We'll do another video at the end of the ISDE, but I doubt you'll see any wear on this. Yeah, we've got like 40 hours riding this week, so it's certainly going to be put to the test. So obviously, one of the biggest parts of any bike, whether it be off-road, motocross, enduro, adventure, road bikes, is suspension. I'm fortunate enough that I get to use a WP Pro components. Shock, I've gone slightly harder on the spring from standard, but the valving is basically, bar one shim, is exactly how you buy it out of the box. So that's a nice thing with these components. You don't have to mess around too much. We play with the sag quite a lot. That's another question I get quite a lot of. Usually running about 38mm of sag for me on the PDS. Depending on if you use a linkage bike or, you know, a different brand of bike, then you know, always check whatever. But that's something I'm regularly checking and will be checking throughout the 6 days. Your sag, static and rider can really make a big difference come race day. So moving slightly more towards the front of the bike, fan kit. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's an essential. I mean, it kicks in here and there, but it's just a good thing to have, especially if you have a problem. That's gonna keep you cool. Then move up to the cockpit area. I've got the medium grips on for this week. Normally run the soft ODI, which is a grey compound grip, but obviously we've got a lot of riding to do, so these should last me the week, again, as long as I don't throw it down the track too much. RFX reservoir covers for clutch and brake. RFX bars and bar pad. KTM lever clamps, which have got the rubber underneath, so touch wood, you know, if you have a crash, at least your lever should move as opposed to break off at the clamp. So I've also got, on this side of the handlebars, I've got the KTM map switch. It's a standard part on like the Champion Edition or the 6 Days Edition, but yeah, it's definitely something worth having. So you've got like a white map, which is kind of like the wet, kind of less aggressive map, and the green map, which is pretty much what I ride all the time. You can then also put your quick shifter on, so you don't have to use a clutch to change gears, and your traction control. A lot of people don't maybe use traction control so much, but something I've started using this year on wet grass and stuff like that, it's actually quite impressive. One other thing I'm pretty fussy with is the feel of the front brake. So the Enduro brake has like a spring in it, so it holds the lever out here, so you have a lot of travel before it works. I use a motocross front brake, well, not system, just the master cylinder and lever. Lever is the same actually, but yeah, it's really, you can see it's really sharp brake, and that's one of the biggest things for me that I'm really fussy with. Moving forward, we've got the WP clamps. It's the Pro Component clamp that goes with the WP Pro Component forks, which it's the biggest thing for me on the bike. It's the forks. They're supple and really good on the light stuff, but when you take a big hit, at least you know you're not going to blow your wrists out. Again, I've gone a spring rate harder this year, so I'm now using a 4.8, which comes stock with 4.6 for Enduro. And the valving is completely standard. I've not changed anything. Just run a little bit more oil for anti-bottoming. Other than that, it's just out the box and bolt it onto the bike. Something else I do is, it's kind of nothing, but light switch and all of that, which is normally on the bars. We don't like anything we don't need up there, so made a little bracket, just holds it in here. Transponder hooks in around the back, and that's that. And also, something different for this race, which we'd never normally have, is a hole shot device. So I've got another fork guard with a hole shot device hooked up on. Final day of this race is actually a motocross, so yeah, just kind of looking for whatever gain we can get to get out the gate. I'm in the E2 class, so I'm going to be on the gate with a lot of 450s, and I'm on the 350. So yeah, if I can get the jump and get to the first corner a bit quicker than those guys, then it's going to help. Really, the last couple of things on the bike are the front tyre. Again, Michelin 90/90 for me, old style. Quite like a firm moose in there as well, so that is one ride old. Then I've got the Galfer disc on the front, which is again standard on the 6 days bikes and whatever. It's the floating disc, so yeah, just find that works well for me and always been happy with that. Stock wheels, stock spokes, stock hubs, they're pretty bulletproof, and I'd rather be using something I know on a race like this where we've got to keep the wheels together. Rads are stock, and that is basically it. That is a wrap on the 350 Exc-F ahead of the ISDE. I might have missed something, I don't think I have, but yeah, we should be ready to go. I'm getting shouted at by Tild because the bike should be over there going into technical now. I think that's a wrap.
Timo, you mentioned Timo.
Fuck you.